Did you know you can support the Techology Show when you shop at Amazon.com? Become a friend of the show by starting your shopping at thetechologyshow.com/shop. It's Tuesday, November the 12th, 2013, live from the rural Pickett, South Carolina podcasting hall, where it's getting cold, buddy. Yee-hoo! I'm Matthew Heath.
I'm Heath Mullikin.
Hey, and I'm Tony Casey. Welcome to the Techology Show, a weekly podcast featuring technology, theology, and everything in between. Guess what, Heath? This is episode 225.
Man, a quarter of the way to 900.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we're going to jump right in today.
We're at the way to 900.
Yeah.
To 1,000.
900.
Oh, you're 2, 4, 6, 8, 9.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh,
I'm thinking
goodness.
250. Oh, sorry there, Heath. Yeah, we apologize to you, Heath. Okay,
Don't question me on Batman trivia or math.
We need to jump in here. Many of us watched and were horrified this past weekend as news came out of the Philippines, and don't really want to talk a whole lot about that because we were able to get in contact with our General Superintendent, Dr. Joanne Lyon, and just a couple hours ago, she gave us an update on how things are going for the Wesleyan Church in the Philippines. So let's take a listen to this. We want to welcome Dr. Joanne Lyon to the show today. Dr. Lyon is the founder and former CEO of World Hope International. She currently serves as the General Superintendent of the Wesleyan Church. Joanne, thanks for taking time out to be with us this morning.
Glad to do this, Tony, and glad on the part of people that are suffering.
Sure. You know, Friday morning.
That's exactly what this is about.
Yeah. Friday morning, Filipino time, Typhoon Haiyan slammed into the Philippines, absolutely devastating everything in its path. As far as we know, it's the largest storm in recorded history to ever make landfall. The images have been heartbreaking. Certainly our hearts and prayers are extended to everybody in the Philippines. We have a strong connection as Wesleyans with the Wesleyan Church there in the Philippines. And we've asked you on so you can kind of give us an update. What are you hearing about the Wesleyan Church in the Philippines?
Well, actually, we have a lot of Wesleyans in this area. And as I speak, Dr. Patoxel, who is the general superintendent, is literally there on the ground right now. Wow. I just had word this morning from some text messages that he sent, as well as his son just sent me an email that he just had a text message because he has no cell phone contact as far as phone talking is concerned.
Yeah.
But said that he was with pastors, and they were already, they were working in distributing food, water, shelter. Several of our churches have already become shelters. Churches that were not terribly damaged have become shelters for victims of this horrible tragedy. But also they still do not begin to know the count of Wesleyans and our own people and whether they're alive or dead. Also, we have a Bible college in Cebu City. Yep. It is pretty well destroyed. Wow. Palawan is pretty well destroyed, the Bible college there. Good news is that on the island of Mindoro, which is part of this, but you don't hear much about it. You see, you hear about the cities, but the island of Mindoro is where many tribal people live. That would be, as we would know as Native Americans in our country,
sure.
Tribal peoples there. Wow. The Wesleyan Church and World Hope have had a very strong partnership for quite a few years with the tribal peoples of the Philippines. And World Hope has 99 children sponsored on this island.
Right.
They just received word last night that all children are safe.
Wow. Good.
Safe but hungry.
Yeah.
And so this is interesting, Tony, because I had the I guess honor or privilege to work many disasters, and one of the things that I find is the church is the best distribution system.
Yeah.
And the church will be out and the big groups aren't out in Mindoro right now, but the church is there, and really the person from headquarters who handles this program is there now. And so as we send funds, then we're able to get the funds directly to them for them to be able to get directly the food, water, and shelter that's needed. So it really happens in many of the
Sure.
places that are the unknown places where people, not where you see on CNN and tragic, and I'm glad they're there. I'm not debunking that at all. But it needs all of us to work at this. And so our church people there and know where people are that people that are coming in from the outside, the military wouldn't know. They know where these people are, and so they're reaching them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Lyon, how have you been able to communicate with church leaders over there, and then within the Philippines, how are they able to communicate with each other, or are they able to at this point?
Well, apparently, I mean, I've called the office, the headquarters in Manila, and so much of the information is coming from Manila, and then our people in the affected areas have been able. Some have been able to text and get the text through, and so it's pretty limited at this point, but they've been able to get the text messages through, and so people from the headquarters in Manila have gone there, and I noticed that they aren't flying in; they've gone down by boat.
Okay.
And so because there have been issues with the airport and being able to fly in, et cetera, and so they're there by boat, and then Dr. Patoxel said he was going to catch another boat and go someplace else. They know their way around in this area. Many of them travel by boat. They don't travel by air.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so for the
that's how
Wesleyan
it's
Church right now, one of the things that you're recommending is that they go to the Emergency Relief Fund and give to
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Wesleyan Emergency Relief Fund. If you could put that up, that'd be great. And that's where people can give immediately. 100% of the money goes directly to this area. World Hope is asking all their donors for children there to go directly to the Wesleyan website as well, to the WRF Fund, and we're all sharing and working in this together. It's going to be a long haul, and it's go through the search and rescue. We have people who are calling who want to go over. We're not taking anyone over there right now.
Okay.
They don't need people who don't know what they're doing.
Right.
So the Filipinos, we have a very strong Filipino church.
Right.
And they know what to do. And so we want to support them in everything that they're doing to be able to do what they're doing.
All right. Well, Dr. Lyon, again, thank you. We know you
so
have
much.
a crammed schedule, and
Yes.
just to give us about 5 or 10 minutes, we
Thank you
appreciate
so
it. We have it
much.
up on our website, and we'll be pushing
Right.
it during our show.
Wonderful. Well, I'm really glad to do this. And this is what we're about, It's
That's
about
right.
being the voice for the hopeless, the helpless, the voiceless, and those in tragedy. And so that's the people of God on earth doing his work.
Amen.
All
So
right.
thank you for what you're
thank
doing.
you.
Thank you. We love you. We'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Again, if you go to our website, we have linked you up with the Emergency Relief Fund. And let me tell you, I've never used that before, never taken advantage of it, so I decided to do it for this event. You can actually set up an account there. It's very easy to do. And next time you go in, you have your own credentials. You can log in. You can give. I already have my receipt. It's easy to do. We encourage you to take advantage of that.
Yep, and maybe you're new to our show, don't know a lot about the Wesleyan Church, and you would be more inclined to give to something like the Red Cross. We'll also have a link in our show notes to give to the Red Cross Typhoon Relief, and absolutely
And
anything.
they're up right now. Go to that URL there at the bottom of the page, thetechologyshow.com/relief. Click the icon, and it'll take you right to the spot where you can give.
We really don't care where you give through. Just we want to support these folks, and just a devastating.
And we thank Dr. Lyon for taking time out to be with us today. I mean, really, that's huge. I mean, she had a crammed schedule today. She stopped what she was doing and joined us. So
it was awesome.
Yeah, we thank her. All right, Heath. So what is the purchase of the week, man?
Yeah, some of you people have been so great. You have been going to the techologyshow.com/shop. You've been supporting our show. And this week, someone bought a professional, not an amateur, professional ultrasonic jewelry and eyeglass cleaning machine.
Oh, boy.
They're using it on all their jewelry and all their eyeglasses at home. So we want to thank you. Whoever made that purchase, bless you. And if I just gave away a Christmas gift,
Sorry.
I apologize. So again, that's the techologyshow.com/shop.
Yeah, let me say this briefly. If you're looking for an effective way to get word out about your organization, business, or nonprofit, why not consider sponsoring an episode of the Techology Show? When you sponsor the show, we'll feature your brand right on the front page of our site, as well as inside the episode that you've sponsored. This means your investment literally lives on years after the week you sponsor. We think it's a great deal and would love to have you on board. So for more details, you can go to thetechologyshow.com/sponsor.
And why would you want to sponsor the Techology Show? Let me tell you why. Because we have great guests like Mark Batterson, and we have great giveaways, and we're giving away 2 copies of his book, a physical copy and an ebook version of his new book, All In, and you can enter for one more week. We've had it going for a week. One more week, the techologyshow.com/giveaway to win All In by Mark Batterson. Now on to today's guest. I'm super excited. Today we've got Aaron Stewart with us. Aaron attended Azusa Pacific University in Southern California. After graduating in 2000 with a BA in Music Education and Composition, Aaron started a Christian pop music group called Soul Desire. He is a missionary kid, has served in worship ministry all of his life, and the reason he's on the show today is he is the co-founder and product manager for Planning Center. Aaron, welcome to the Techology Show. Thank you for being with us today.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
So, we've got a lot of people in our chat room who use Planning Center, but for people who don't, tell us a little bit about the creation, about Planning Center. What's the story behind it?
Yeah, well, let's see. About in 2005, I was serving as a worship pastor at Southwest Community Church in the Palm Springs area, California, and I was working with different vocal teams and sometimes with the choir and an orchestra and a lot of different, kind of a big team that was there. And I had kind of developed some systems to help organize the music aspect of that. And now at the same time, we had another guy on staff there named Jeff Berg, and he is a computer programmer and a graphic designer and just kind of like a genius in many ways. And he was helping our department and lots of other ones come up with he was writing computer programs to help people be more organized and efficient and the stuff. So he and I kind of got together, and he said, "Hey, some of the stuff that you've been doing to organize your music department, I can make it a lot better and make it into something really cool." And I was like, "Better? Okay." So it started actually. He was going to make it into this just for Windows, but then I moved. We found out I was going to move from there to my church in Las Vegas, and we thought, it would be a lot better to, instead of just making a program that the music minister can access, it'd be way better if we could make it so that the whole team can access that, and anybody can access it from anywhere. And what's kind of cool is at the time, God really had this all happen at perfect timing, because this is when internet applications were in their infancy. I mean, people were checking their email and getting some stuff, but you didn't really have many web applications at that time. So we came into it right at a good spot, and Jeff basically then for the next 9 months, he worked his full-time job at the church and then the second full-time job at home trying to program Planning Center and get these music features and scheduling features and all this stuff so that churches all over the place could use it. So basically, to sum up how it got started, we had a need in our local church where we wanted to communicate with our volunteers and be organized, and through mostly Jeff's work and some of my input as well, we decided to make this thing that could be beneficial to everyone.
Nice.
So you talk about it being beneficial. Tell our listeners, how can Planning Center, I think a lot of people associate it with being used by larger churches, but how can Planning Center be beneficial for larger churches and smaller churches?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've worked at small and larger churches. My parents are missionaries, so all growing up, I would go to a different, usually small church, every week of the summer. So I've been to probably over 1,000 churches in my life, from very small to huge. The church that I worked at is, there were 18,000 people at there that attended the time I left. So what's cool is, for larger churches, you kind of have to have a system like this almost, because you have too much going on to keep it wrangled. But what's great about that is just because you're a smaller or a medium-sized church, or no matter what size you are, doesn't mean that you don't need to be organized. And doesn't mean that it's still not just as hard for you to keep up with all the different members of your teams and all the different songs that you have. And so when you use a product like Planning Center, you get all the benefits from a company who knows what huge churches need to be organized. And as a small church, you get the same tools available that were optimized for any size, and you get to use those same things, but at a price that really works for you. For large churches, they're looking at, how do I schedule teams with hundreds of people on them and all this kind of stuff? And so, a small church is not going to be able to relate to that. And so when you think about it in that perspective, it might be, well, I don't need that kind of stuff. But if you're a small church, you're still doing lots of songs. You still have different team members that you want to communicate with. And it's got lots of great features to help make your songs really organized, to find things from years ago, and just give you all the benefits of being as organized as possible.
So let me jump in for just a second and ask you a question. In a second, I'm going to have up, just from our local church, which is a smaller church, I'll have our planning schedule. I've got a way to show what's on my phone and the app there. But how have people surprised you in the way that they've used Planning Center? Like, I know a daycare that uses this. Which is not a church, just but a daycare that uses. Like, what kind of stories do you have about as you put something like this together, about how it's being used in ways that maybe you hadn't even considered?
Yeah, that's funny, because we've been surprised in so many ways. We've had some people. Once you kind of use it for your church, you start to envision all the different ways that it can be used. And so, we had somebody that was on one of our music teams, and he decided to use it to plan his wedding. So they scheduled,
Nice.
the florist and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know exactly. I just kind of saw it on there. So we've had people use it for that. We have people calling us in all the time, actually. You guys could make a lot of money if you open this up to the hotel industry. We're in huge need of doing this kind of thing. And it's really flattering for that. And we know that it can be used for lots, and we do have people using it for all sorts of different things. But at the same time, our company's name is Ministry Centered Technologies. And so we did kind of make a decision that we're never going to do anything for anything other than churches. If you are a hotel chain that wants to use it, go for it. And when you schedule your people that are going to clean the rooms, it's going to say you're scheduled for this church service. But if they don't care, so we're in it because we want to provide a ministry for the church. But
Nice.
Like you said, it's pretty cool to see just the random stuff. Oh, and the other one was we have a lot of different colleges and universities that now teach Planning Center. And that's probably the most surprising to me. My mom came up to me and she was like, I was at this missions conference, because they're missionaries. And we were talking to someone from our old school in Texas, and they were saying how they use Planning Center. And I was like, my son is the co-founder of that. And, I was like,
awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, my school that I went to, Azusa Pacific, they use Planning Center, and they, partially teach that. So it's really cool just to, how helpful it's been, and how just the ministry that we wanted to provide is now ministering even outside of just the church, but just to lots of other different types of organizations as well.
Wow. Earlier you talked about affordability along the scale. Well, you actually give the service away to smaller groups. Yeah. So what was behind the decision to offer a free option?
Well, there's kind of two things that they're up for that. People, every church has budget constraints.
Yeah.
And just trying to figure out how you can be organized and not break the bank in that. And even part of it is just from us working in churches. We know that even when there might be money, you are not allowed to have it until you get it in the budget for the next year. And it's like, that's frustrating. And so we really do want to help churches as much as we can. Now, we obviously have to pay our bills as well, but so we do offer 30 days for free for anybody to try it out. But sometimes you just can't get everything you need to know out of that first 30 days. And so that is one of the main reasons that we do offer just a free plan that is free forever. Now, it only allows you to have 10 users in your account, but if you're a small church or even just a community or a church that meets in somebody's home that doesn't have a staff, you don't have any sort of budget, you can still put unlimited number of songs in there and use it to track and organize all your songs. You can't have multiple lots of people in there, but you're probably not going to need to if you're using a free plan like that. And the other thing that I wanted to say is that we do also offer 6 months free of even our upper plans if you're a church plant, because we really know That kind of came in a couple years later after we had churches who came to us and said, we're a plant and we are really just trying to get off the ground, and we've used this at our main campus and now we want to use it at this new church. And so we just think there's just so much value in that, and so we want to help.
Well, let me just, I think all of us around this Skype table here would pat you guys on the back and say, what a way to make an investment. That just really makes me happy to hear that you give that kind of a service to a church plant. Fantastic.
Yeah,
yes.
I'd say something else too. I applaud you guys for just the free aspect of this for smaller churches. And on our district, now our largest church just set a one-time attendance of 1,500, and it's still growing. So we rejoice in that. We have some other churches that are growing, but we have a large number of churches on our district that are small, and this is a good starting point for them.
And
so I applaud
that
you.
Largest church uses planting centers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So they're from their kids ministry to their volunteer ministry to their music ministry, they use it. That's actually how I got connected with it, was for hearing about it through them.
One of the great things that I love personally about Planning Center is all the integration it does. I have no idea how you guys did all that, but you have the mobile app. It integrates with ProPresenter, integrates seamlessly with Song Select. Why are each of these so important to work all together?
Yeah, well, I already talked about that our company is Ministry Center Technologies, and I emphasize the ministry part of that. So this question leads perfectly into the technologies part of that. All of us here, when we started, 7 years ago, there were just 2 of us, and now there's 25 of us on staff at this point. And everybody here is really into technology and how we can use the latest stuff to make things easier and to make things better and faster. And so the great thing about being an internet-based company is that we can talk with other internet-based companies. And if our goal is to make things faster and easier for you, then why not talk to some of those other companies, like the Song Select, where you can get your songs, or lots of different companies. We want to make that easy. But the other thing that you mentioned was our mobile apps. And it's interesting because actually just last night, we launched brand new crazy big update versions of our Android app.
Yes, and we've downloaded it.
Website. You've downloaded it already?
We did. And let me tell you, it's a great update. It looks like it's bringing parity between the iOS app and the Android app. And I know that everybody who uses Android, Tony, hold it up there. There it is running right
my
there.
Nexus 7 there. You can't see very good. It's kind of bright, but yeah.
But it's fantastic. It looks great.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
We know that mobile is really important. I mean, people are accessing things on their devices more and more and more. And we like to be usually on the forefront of those kinds of things. Now, this Android app has taken us, we've worked on it for months and months and months because we really wanted it to be really good, but we try to stay up on that, and we plan to continue to bring lots more updates with that. We have one full-time Android developer, and we're looking for somebody else because that Android platform is important to us, and we've got 2 iOS developers in addition. And so we just want to make sure that whether you're doing it from the web or on your phone or on a tablet, that wherever you are or where your volunteers are, you can always get to your latest information.
Yeah, I want to. I know you got something from the chat room to bring up, Heath. But again, this whole integration thing. One of the things that I love is if there is somebody doing something well, why try to create something competitive to them? Why not integrate with them? So like the Song Select stuff, the ProPresenter stuff is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll let you know that like having the app now on Android, my drummer uses Planning Center on his Android phone. It's going to be a great deal for him when he gets that update. And one of the things that he loves is like the ability we can add and attach a song. So there's 1 or 2 where he's a little bit more unfamiliar with those. And so I can throw an MP3 file into Planning Center, and then he can listen to that and have that, or even link a YouTube video I showed a little bit ago of a song being done. It's just fantastic, the amount of integration that's happening inside of this application. Heath, you had it.
One of the questions from the chat room actually comes from a band member, and the question is, do you have in the future, a lot of bands play, and then while the pastor's preaching, they go backstage. And this guy's wondering if you can put an alarm within the thing.
So that feature requests happening here.
So like when the time for the message is running out, that the band's back there and they can get an alert. So, and this may or may not have happened. They don't leave the pastor hanging for about a minute or two because they lost track of time. I'm sorry that our listeners are so pushy, Aaron.
Well, what's interesting is we actually do have a feature that's kind of like that already.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a feature called Planning Center Live, and that is available right there from the Android app. Now, it's not going to send you an alarm, but if you have somebody that's Planning Center Live basically lets someone basically say what is happening right now in the service, and then anybody else who is looking at Planning Center Live can see exactly what's happening, and there's even a countdown to the next thing. So if someone hits start when the message actually starts, anybody that's looking at Planning Center Live on whatever device, they'll actually see that countdown and be able to tell how long until that message is supposed to be over.
Nice.
Cool.
So Aaron, I know outside of just Planning Center, with the things that you guys are working on, you have a whole series of applications for the church, even getting into, well, I'll let you talk about it. So just real quick, run us through, aside from Planning Center services, what else do you guys offer?
Yeah, well, Planning Center Online is what we've been called for forever. And then last year or the year before, we decided, we want to make other church applications because churches have been telling us, why can't you do this and why can't you do this? And we wanted to do that. So we actually changed the name of our main app from Planning Center Online to Planning Center Services. So the app that we've been talking about this whole time is called Services, actually. And now, January of this year, we released Planning Center Resources, and that is a facilities management app. So you want to make sure that this room in your church is available for your event, or that you have tables and chairs ready for this thing, or it also publishes calendars online. You can link them into your website so that people can go to your website and find out what's happening in your church, or you can use them as kiosks. I mean, all kinds of stuff. So that's Planning Center Resources. Those are our two main apps right now, but we are developing others, all going to be under the Planning Center brand, and we're just pretty excited about how we can continue to make revolutionary church applications.
So let's continue on in that vein of talking there for a second. Heath, I believe you got our last question there on the list.
Aaron, we want to know what's next. I know you guys are doing some awesome things. What can you give us? Can you give us some breaking news here on the show? What are some future plans? What are some things you guys are talking about down the road?
Well, unfortunately, I can't give you too much information on that because we've gotten ourselves in trouble in the past because if I announce something that's too far ahead, things pop up in between, and then that thing gets delayed 6 months, and then people are angry at us because we said we were going to do something, and then it didn't happen for long. But what I can say is stay tuned for lots more updates to our mobile apps. We have some really great plans to continue to advance those. The Android app is 6 or 9 months behind our iOS app, but we're trying to get them caught up really fast. And one of the things that Android app will do really soon is we plan to allow you to do a lot more editing, adding of things. Right now, it's mostly for viewing. Our iOS app a couple months ago, you can now add people and you can add new plans and stuff like that. And so all that stuff is going to be coming to those apps. We have a brand new this one I can say because we're pretty close to it. We have a music stand app that works on Android and on iPads as well. The iPad version of our music stand app, which is basically a digital sheet music reader, is about to get a huge update that we've been working on. And I'm really, really excited for this. There's a couple of new features. For the most part, it's just kind of reorganizing and refining the way that it's done, and that sounds kind of boring, but like when you actually use it, it's so much better. I'm really, really excited for that to happen.
Anybody who used the Android app last week and goes to the Google Play Store and gets the update and uses it again is just going to see the fruits of that, because that's essentially what's happening. It is a great refinement of something. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Aaron, we thank you so much for taking time out to be with us today.
Absolutely.
Where can our listeners find you?
Yes, well, they can get to Planning Center from planningcenteronline.com, and that's where they can find all the information they want to find.
All right.
All right. Well, listen now. If you guys are ready to release something and you want to, talk to someone about it,
You need a launch pad.
we're your connection. Give us a call.
Hey, we really appreciate what you guys do.
Absolutely.
Matthew and I both pastor churches under 100, and it is a vital tool.
It is
for us, and we just appreciate all that you do.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for taking time to be with us, Aaron.
You're very welcome.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Man,
Yeah,
what a great interview. Great stuff.
Yeah, great
man.
guy. And so you, it was this past summer that you came in contact with this program.
It was. I'm trying to make a camera switch here, so you go ahead and vamp for a little bit there, Tony-san.
So were you using it before this summer?
Yeah, when our churches merged back in November of 2011, we started. The church we merged with was already using it, and it is great. We're still trying to implement it into our other areas, or like our children's ministry and nursery and greeters and all of that. Still trying to do that, but it's just such a good tool. And I've been thinking, he talked about the Music Stand app, which is where it's basically your sheet music on iPad or your computer. And I've been thinking how much music churches print off.
Yeah.
And I mean, by the time you could buy everybody in your band an iPad, and over the years, it would all even out.
I was just going to ask that question.
Yeah.
Do you get to a point here where it's worth, even at a small church, if it's worth the investment, to buy iPads for everyone and just to do all that digitally?
Yeah, I wonder that. So let me show you. I didn't, I had this playing while Aaron was going, while he was talking to us, but just to give you a little demonstration. So when you're integrated with Song Select, you see the order of service. There's all the different songs. You can choose the key, the arrangements of them. But then in here, you've got a spot where it says attachments, and it preloads both your lyric sheet so here's a song that we did this past Sunday, Your Grace Is Enough, and it preloads the PDF lyric sheet for that. Well, come on, thing. And then it's got the chord sheet too. Come on, chords.
And if you've got Pro Presenter, it automatically it pulls in your order from Planning Center. And if songs are already in your database, it creates your order of service in Pro Presenter for you. It is an amazing tool, and there's been actually a conversation on the Wesleyan Pastors Facebook page about this very topic for the money, for the worship part of it. For the integration, it's a great investment.
And I pulled in a song kind of last minute, and so just as an example, like here's a YouTube video. I was able to link right to the YouTube video for this song, to where our band, who was unfamiliar with this song, can just go. Yeah, that's right. Hey, stop making fun of us. But yeah, so you could go listen to it a few times and become accustomed to it. And that's fantastic to be able, like, if you can do this, like if you have practice and you can ahead of time. Sorry, Heath, I know I'm cutting off your head. If you can ahead of time, still no better, is it? Get this
that's
out to
way
people.
better.
You give them time to work on.
I wonder too, Matthew. We have one band member that is not at all in the tech world, not vested, and I wonder what would happen if the church would invest in an iPad where he only uses it during practice, and you begin to teach, just, okay, this is how you search for your song that we'll be singing tonight. I mean, something like that, you could actually pull a person into the digital world.
Might be able to. I'm not sure if I'm willing to take on that task. I'll leave that one up to you, but yeah, there you go. Well, just absolutely great stuff. It really is.
Listen, I want to give a shout out and thanks to Paul Tillman. He was ready to he was on standby in case we needed him this afternoon with Heath's situation. He didn't know if he'd be in studio today. So, Paul Tillman, if you're listening to us, you're out there. Thanks so much for being willing.
So much.
Also, I want to thank people for sending their emails in, and we've got another email
today. Oh, that was too quiet. Guys, I ruined that. Let's do this again.
All right.
Top. There we go.
Hey.
Mail call.
All right. Don't you love that?
Still
All right.
getting accustomed to that.
So our email today comes from Phil Surratt, and I'm going to let Matthew give the answer, but here is the email. I don't know if there's a short answer to this, but how can you use an iOS device to stream content to the internet? My daughter is in the band, and they want to stream a concert from an iPad to someone who can't attend over the Wi-Fi at the school. No frills, just a basic shot and sound.
Yeah, so what I referred them to was what we were using for live streaming, and those of you who are with us today live stream. You can create a free account there, and they have an iOS app. Right from the app, you can hit broadcast live, and it'll just put up a URL. Mm-hmm. Anybody can go there. You can get a big group of people to come in and watch as you're streaming something live. It's pretty basic, but it's like having a remote camera that you can carry around and do.
All right.
So that was the answer, and the full email will be in the show notes today at the end of the show. Thank you, Phil, for contacting us.
Yep, and keep your emails coming to the Techology Show at
the
Techology Show at gmail.com. All right, now it's time for
Download of the Week.
Yay! So when we do downloads, sometimes we revisit some because we've had a chance to use them for a few weeks. We feel better about them. If we don't come back to one, we probably don't feel so good about it.
That's right.
So we introduced to you about 3-4 months ago, Read Quick, and TG, you just made a comment to me this past week that this
I
is one
to eat my words on this one. So I hadn't used this much. In fact, I kind of said some stuff about it when we first talked about it. But Read Quick is an application that you can bookmark articles on the web, and then I'm going to actually switch to the phone here, so it'll work.
We'll try to demonstrate.
There we go.
There we are.
So here's an article from the New York Times that I bookmarked this morning. It's coming in as we speak, so that may not be a good one. Let's go. This is a review of the iPad Air, and it flashes one word at a time to read the article. So here we go. Oh, it's not showing for you guys. There we go. Oh,
it's delayed,
kind of
but
happening a little bit, not really. So it's stuck on two. But it flashes through these words, and it's wild. Like when I first saw it, it looked a little bit like that thing from Chuck. I played that clip, where he's getting that whole computer downloaded into his brain. It's kind of what it looked like. Well, I've had the chance to use it a little bit. It's pretty amazing. And what's happening is the longer you use it, the faster you're reading, and it's carrying over into other reading that I'm doing.
Okay.
So I heard the creators of the application talking about it, and they said that you begin to not see words as bunched up letters, but as actual symbols. So we see letters as symbols, but words start to become whole symbols to where we don't have to read every letter to understand the word, because it gives us practice in this fascinating application.
And you actually, really give an idea. After you practice for a while, you increased your speed.
Yeah, just in a couple of days, I went up about 100 words per minute. I think it starts you off when you first have the app. It starts off at about 250 words a minute, and right now I've got it set at 340. So about 90 words a minute faster. That just in the couple of weeks that I've used it. At first, 250 was about all I could get. I was like, oh, my word, this is just crazy. But then after continuing to utilize it, I was like, man, it's starting to feel slow. And so I'd bump it up a little bit. Starting to feel slow. Bump it up a little bit more. Yeah.
So you're trying to get up to 500 words a minute. I'm trying to get down to a 6-second 40-yard dash, which is going to happen.
But see, the thing is he's making no promises where you've told us that you are going to.
Yes. January of 2015.
Oh, yeah, we will film that. All right, let's move on to They Said It.
Read my lips.
I'm going to say this again.
I've never taken steroids or HGH.
I took the initiative in creating the internet.
The Macintosh, of all the machines I've ever seen, is the only one that meets that standard.
I'm not a crook.
If you know what you're doing here, slide out.
Today, more than any other time, we really are experiencing a golden age of technology in New York City. New York City's first chief digital officer, Rachel Hyatt, at Engadget's Expand conference this past week. Source Engadget.
The kids I previously pastored never sat around a table with adults at church-wide fellowship events. They had their own program options. They've never worked side by side with other members to put on a neighborhood vacation Bible school. They were off on their own mission trips. Kate Murphy, wondering out loud if youth ministry's killing the church. Source, The Christian Century.
There was so much about it that I loved, but it's a shame because at the heart of it, it's something I don't believe in. If you think about church, there's very little that's bad. It's singing awesome songs, hearing interesting talks, thinking about improving yourself and helping other people, and doing that in a community with wonderful relationships. What part of that is not to like? Atheist Sanderson Jones, who is currently on a world tour promoting Sunday assemblies. Source, Associated Press.
When a church fails to distinguish between its current model and the mission to which it has been called and mistakenly fossilizes around its model, that church sets itself up for decline. Andy Stanley talking about how churches protect their models even to the point of death. Source, his book Deep and Wide. All right, so we'll jump up to the first story here. I thought this was interesting because it's always hard when you're in the midst of a golden age to say that it's the golden age.
Right.
So you take, I know a lot about the history of radio. The golden age of radio is late 20s into the mid 40s, but they don't, at the time, no one said, we are right here in the midst of the golden age.
Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah.
I feel like it's unallowable. Like you're not allowed to say you're in something until it's already passed, right?
I just wonder about the statement. I mean, how would you know? What are there's exciting things in technology right now.
Well, if you think about it, she's the very first chief digital officer for the whole city. I mean, this is almost her job to not only make sure that New York City is becoming more and more technologically advanced, but also to trumpet how advanced they are.
Well, here's my thing. When you say it's the golden age, that then you're saying it's the peak. This is it, and from here on, here on in, it's not going to be as exciting. Now, maybe that's true. I don't know, but to just make that pronouncement, I'm not sure. Okay. Our next story, this is an opinion piece. I mean, it's not research-based, but I bring it in because we've seen enough research-based stuff to where this person's anecdotal experience carries some weight.
Okay. Let me say a couple of things. First of all, shameless plug. If you go to heathmullikin.com today, I've got a blog post somewhat about this. I was also a professional youth pastor for 13 years.
Professional. Love it.
Accredited.
That's right. This is what I'll say.
All right, say
talk about this a little bit in the blog post. In the 60s, 70s, and 80s, teens were leaving the church. We weren't reaching our teens. For the most part, the church was boring to them in a lot of ways. So the answer to that was to create. That's how youth ministry was born. We weren't reaching.
We gave
teens.
them their own church.
We gave them youth ministry. Now here's the thing: we're 40 years into that. Again, I gave 13 years of my life to it. We're 40 years in to full-time youth ministry, and all the statistics tell us that 80% of kids after high school leave the church. 80%. So you're telling me we've been doing this for 40 years and we only have a 20% success rate. Now, I'm not saying you do away with youth ministry. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying if the church doesn't hit the pause button and reevaluate things, how we do things, why we do things, we are making a huge mistake. Absolutely.
Yeah, when we had Melinda Denton done, which it's a person we need to have on again just to see where her research is. One of the things that she was concerned about was intergenerational ministry. And she said at the time, if you remember, I'm not saying that we do away with kids ministries. I'm not saying that we do away with youth ministry.
Yeah.
What we have to do is find a way to get generations talking to one another, because that does seem to be detrimental. And that's what the research is pointing to.
Right. And here's the second mistake we've made. Okay, so mid-90s, we start noticing this trend. Kids are graduating and leaving the church. What was our solution to that? It wasn't to reevaluate how we were doing youth ministry. The solution was, we need a young adult ministry. We need college ministries. So from mid-90s up to 2005, 2007, and I was pastor on a college campus.
Yeah.
It was a huge concern. How do you get more? And here's the thing, and I don't want to get too deep into this. We've made the answer too simple. The answer has always been, how do we get more young adults in the church? Contemporary music. They'll come, and so across the board in every nook and cranny of the country, we've treated that as the solution.
Right.
That if you want to reach young people, you have to do contemporary music. Now, this is not a knock on contemporary music, but my argument in my blog post is that's not why people left the church.
So let me do this. Let's jump to the last one. We'll hop back up. But in Andy Stanley's book, Deep and Wide, this book's been a challenge to me in a number of ways.
Yes.
And he would talk about models of ministry. And so he would point to what you just said. And we're talking about models. And he brings out over and over again the last fifth of the book that models change.
Yes.
That life is about change, and what happens in the church is in the quote here, we fossilize around a model.
Yeah.
He gives it just an anecdotal illustration of one church where they interview a youth person and said, "This is what we want you to do, and this is the way we do youth ministry." And the response is, "Well, are you open to doing youth ministry different?" No, this is our model.
Yeah.
And so, Andy's point is, well, then this guy can't help you.
Yeah, right.
Because your problem is the model.
Yeah. Absolutely. And part of the deal is you use the key word there, change. In the church world, what do you call someone who refuses to change? You would call them lost. You would say that a person who refuses to change.
How far are you going to push this?
I'm just telling. I'm telling you that the problem in the church is a lot deeper. Like Andy Stanley's right on the money here. We have, I believe personally, that we have fossilized around our models many times, not every time, but many times, because the people in charge of those models were in fact lost.
Well, and also too, we're part of an institution. So let me talk about the church's institution.
Yeah.
That is often the last place to change.
Yes.
So what's curious is, Paul Tillman was going to be ready to come on the show today, and he shot me an email and just about the NYC story and the golden age.
Yeah.
But he had kind of this sideline comment about how, when it comes to technology, the church is just always lagging behind. We come, we adopt something and we implement a model that is on its last leg. So it started 5 years ago, and it's about ready to fizzle out.
Okay. Very good. And at one time, the church was at the forefront of stuff. So when we talk about our educational institutions, when we talk about a lot of the hospitals that are around us, a lot of that stuff is based out of what the church is doing.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go paint with so broad a brush that we say it doesn't happen anymore because of the very guests that we had on our show today.
Right. Absolutely.
All right, here's somebody who's at the forefront of something doing that. I just think it's good for the church to claim that position and hold on to it tightly.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've always had people within the church who are out on the forefront, but the point being that the church as a whole often lags behind.
Yes, and I believe that in our current status of church, I believe that Andy Stanley's words that you read are very true. And I believe that these are words that may come back to haunt him.
Haunt him?
Right. Because the way that Andy Stanley and a lot of churches are doing church
may become fossilized.
I believe that I'm serious. Are they going to be, is my generation who has created a new way of doing church.
It's fair, right.
Are we going to become as set in the ways of how we do church as the people we're mad at because they wouldn't change? And we don't know. We won't know that for 10 or 15 years, but I'm interested to have that conversation. Yeah. And when, right now, contemporary music is working, worship is, and there's all kinds of things working to reach people and make disciples. I'm just saying, in your own context, are you going to be willing to change? Am I going to be as willing to change as the people that I criticize?
Let's get back to the heart of the story here, and that is, youth ministry. What are we trying to accomplish with it in the church, and how can we integrate generations if we're not going to do away with youth ministry, children's ministries, what are ways that we integrate and get the generations talking to one another?
Yes, and I think in youth ministry, you have to be very clear about what you're trying to do. I believe, personally, youth ministry was started with somewhat good intentions, but I don't know that
they were very good intentions.
I don't know that every parent started a youth ministry because they wanted their kids to be discipled more effectively. I think in a lot of churches and a lot of places, it became, well, there's not anything for the kids to do. We need to have something for the kids to do. And so we've invented lock-ins, and we've invented all these things that to this point has separated teens from the integral life of the church. And so I think, how do you have an effective youth ministry while maintaining that integrity? And if you want to learn how to do that, you can go to joingenerations.com and pick up Matthew DePrez's
right, because he
free
deals
book.
with that. Yep.
And but I mean, I'm telling you, again, I'm where I'm at today in my life. I'm not throwing stones. I want to be part of the solution. I've got 3 kids. 2 of them going to youth group next year. I want to figure this out. I know that I'm sorry. I'm kind of I'm on my soapbox today.
Yeah.
I apologize, but this is where my heart is. Yeah. So,
Okay.
It's always a good time for a rant. Hey, your brother Tim set up for a great joke in the chat room. I don't think he was intending it to be a joke, but Charlie Collins made it a great joke. He asked the question, why do 20% of the youth stay in the church? And Charlie's answer is to become youth pastors.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, I would say, if you went to Southern Wesleyan today and you talked to their kids in the youth pastor track, why are you in youth ministry? Because they had a great youth pastor.
I said, so let's talk about Tim's question. There's something called appreciative inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times in research, what we do is we look at the negative side. So that question is the positive side.
Yeah.
Why do those 20% stick? And my hunch, this is only a hunch, my hunch is you're going to find parents that are deeply connected to the church. And when they leave that church, they live
Very
what?
good.
Yeah. But again, hunch, no research.
I can tell you the research because I've been there. I mean, I've lived this the last 15 years, and I can tell you that every kid who's 90% of the kids who stuck after high school.
I want to get this next story.
Sorry, they they had that authentic home life. It wasn't just.
That's what I'm saying.
This would be a great Melinda Denton question. This would be so we've talked about the negative side of things, but this would be a great Melinda Denton question. What is that 20%? What is the stickiness?
Yeah, what is the research? Well, and their research seems to point to that, just the broad thing that they did on religious life. Our last story here, Sanderson Jones.
Yeah.
He and another guy are going around the country.
Yeah, they're stand-up comedians.
They are atheists.
Yeah.
They're promoting what they call Sunday assemblies. They tongue-in-cheek a bit.
Yeah.
But they're serious about this.
Yes.
Atheists getting together to sing songs, to hear a motivational speech, and to have fellowship with one another.
Almost like we were built for community.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is one that I'm going to watch with interest over time.
Yeah.
Because in the assembly of the people of God, there is this thing that we surround, and it's a positive thing. It's redemption, it's restoration. What I'm wondering is, how long can you assemble over a negative issue?
Yeah.
Because part of what's bringing them together is that they want to be affirmative about their atheism, but also they're drawn together because of their common exasperation for religion.
Right. Well, here's the deal. So if you're in the church and something bad happens, and
nothing bad happens in the church.
You gather around and someone's sick or something, or someone's having tests done, and you're in a situation that just stinks. You've got these people that empathize with you and they pray for you, and I cannot say enough the last 8 days of my life, how I have lived physically felt the prayers of people lifting my family up. Like it just... I can't explain it. It's a supernatural thing.
Okay, let me interrupt. And so what's the book here you recommended to me? And I just got done reading it, but I can't remember the title.
Rewire Your Brain.
Rewire Your Brain. She talks about great research in that book about people who've been prayed for, even people that didn't know that they were being prayed for, and the benefits of that.
Yeah.
And she talks a lot about quantum theory, and she's a Christian. Quantum theory and the power of decision making that we have, and this connectedness that we have. It's fascinating.
I mean, the Bible, and I think she uses this. The Bible is very clear about. I know we're not talking about atheism, but it talks about taking every thought captive, and she really gets to the power of
she does
your thoughts,
big time.
And but to this, I mean, it will be interesting to see, because my whole point was. These people get together, something bad happens. What do they have to offer you? I'll be thinking about you. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
good luck.
Thanks.
Good luck with that.
Good luck.
Right. Yeah.
Sucks to be you. You know what I mean?
No. I mean, I heard Ravi Zacharias talk about a time when he watched a family where one of the parents got diagnosis of cancer, and he said, I watched two neighbors come. The first neighbor was a believer, and he said, I watched that neighbor ask if he could pray with the family, and he did, and he said it was a beautiful prayer, and the family accepted it and was very appreciative. He said, I watched another neighbor come who was an unbeliever, and he said, and that neighbor was so sincere and really communicated how bad he felt, and one of the things he said, well, good luck to you. And then he left. Yeah. And Ravi said, if you're that family, which one do you want? Do you want the guy who prays for you, or you want the guy who's wishing you good luck?
Interesting. Yeah.
Again, anecdotal story. All right, Heath, what's coming up in the future here?
Oh, man, next week, big show. It's our Black Friday special. Get ready for the rush.
And let me say this about the Black Friday special.
Right,
I've got a treat for all of our listeners next week. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. And
I've got a treat.
I don't know what it is.
Oh, come on. Well, I've got a treat now, so I'm not going to say more. So okay, you get to be surprised too then. Okay. I've got a treat for everybody next week at the top of the show. So you make sure you're here for that episode. Also on November 26th, we have Marie Cattle, who's going to be with us. She's a nurse at the hospital in Haiti, island of La Guinave, and the Wesleyan Hospital there.
Her husband built the hospital.
Yeah, that's right.
December 3rd. He's in the chat room today. Tony's brother, Tim Casey, reads the Christmas Carol every year. Going to be on the show, talk about Charles Dickens' greatest work, A Christmas Carol, and the implications for this holiday season.
This past week, we made a couple more, have a couple more things booked on our schedule for the future. Wanted to let you know about that. One of those is, I'm looking down the list here, and there it is. Lois Tverberg. She is the co-author to the book Sitting at the Feet of Rabbi Jesus.
Very
fascinating
interesting book.
Great
Very
book.
interesting book. Context. Context.
Yeah.
Is such a wonderful thing when you have context.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So we'll get into some Old Testament stuff with her on that.
And so excited, February the 11th, Heather Zimpel, author of the book Community is Messy, but she is this discipleship and small groups pastor for Mark Batterson's National Community Church in Washington, D.C. Looking so forward to having her on, and just great to have that connection with them.
All right. Heath, where can our listeners find you on the
They
internet?
can go to heathmullikin.com, and some of the stuff we talked about today, I blog about it in a post, What is My Greatest Fear for the Church? So I encourage you to check that out today.
All right.
Yeah,
Matthew.
for me, rather than go to MatthewTG.com, head over to the TechologyShow.com/relief and help support the people in the Philippines and other areas who are in desperate need of it.
Very good.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say you can find me at Facebook and Twitter at AKC64.
Also, don't forget, you can do all your Amazon shopping. Get ready for Black Friday by going to the techologyshow.com/shop.
Yeah, and if you want to consider sponsorship, you can also go to the techologyshow.com/sponsor. As always, thank you for joining us. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. I forgot my exit music, guys. This is awful. There we go. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Say it.
Come on, Heath.
Do it.
May the force be with you.